What's up, y'all? This is Chico. Welcome back to another one of my concepts. Today we're here to talk about why arguing is actually a good thing. There are many types of arguments that people get into. Normally when people think of arguments, they think of heated arguments or yelling and screaming matches because that's generally what we hear and see when it comes to arguments. However, things such as civil discussions and debates are also arguments, just more constructive. Debates are more popular than civil discussions because we tend to see those in media more. Whether it's a presidential debate, a Jubilee video, or something else, debates are usually done with the idea in mind to win. That's why they tend to be more competitive and hostile. They want to expose the other person's weakness while also strengthening their own position. While they're supposed to be respectful and controlled, the nature of trying to win can easily make them too competitive and spiral into heated arguments. When this happens, both sides talk over each other, become defensive, stop listening, and as a result, nothing productive comes out of it and it just devolves into noise. And that's just harmful, not just on a personal level, but to society as a whole. If no progress is made, then how will we ever meet in the middle? How will we ever come to an understanding? How will we develop socially, economically, morally, mentally, physically, and politically? How can we make progress in anything if we can't even make progress in conversation? Constantly arguing just to prove a point instead of listening and reflecting leaves us stuck. It deepens division, fuels a misunderstanding, and reinforces echo chambers. Without real communication, collaboration becomes impossible. And when collaboration breaks down, so does the potential for real and lasting change. Unlike debates, civil discussions are not just about winning or defeating the other person, but about understanding, learning, and finding common ground, because they focus on collaboration rather than competition. Civil discussions are more likely to stay respectful, productive, and meaningful, making them a more positive and powerful way to resolve differences and share ideas. I think the world needs to participate in civil discussions more. Everyone wants to spread their own opinion around, but never listen to anyone else's ideas. And that type of ignorance is extremely dangerous and more dangerous than any physical weapon in the world. Ignorance like this cultivates echo chambers and leaves out any nuance and as a result, any room for discussion, much less civil discussion. People need to be able to sit down with other people with opposing opinions and just have a simple heart-to-heart conversation and allow others to express their ideas and have people listen to them, even if they don't agree. If people can do this, the world would be in a much better place. But sadly, there are too many extremists and ignorant people who think they're correct all the time and think that anyone who disagrees, even partially, is automatically wrong or a bad person. People need to learn how to meet in the middle and not allow themselves to be surrounded by yes men. Yes men allow for echo chambers and allow for bad and extreme ideas to spread. They even give these ideals real power, which ends up affecting hundreds to billions of people, literally. Civil discussion breaks down these echo chambers and allow for opposing ideas without competition or animosity that often comes from heated arguments. Unfortunately, not everyone is willing to engage in arguments or even in civil discussion. Instead of yelling or debating, some people just shut down entirely and refuse to communicate. This is known as stonewalling and can be just as bad and just as heated as arguments because it blocks out any chance for understanding or resolution. Many people resort to this for a variety of reasons. Some mentally can't handle arguments, others do it out of ignorance and anger, and others might do it because they feel like the other person isn't listening. Either way, this is not a good way to handle arguments. People do it to avoid problems, but it just makes them bigger, and eventually they can't dodge it anymore, and it will just hit them harder than it would have if they had just handled it right away. It's also important to know who you're arguing with. Sometimes it just ain't worth arguing with people. Some people are prone to stonewalling, others are quick to get heated, others will keep talking and never give you a chance to talk, and others? Sometimes they're just dickheads, I'm gonna be honest. Arguing with these types of people is a waste of time and energy and will just upset you. And sometimes a person just doesn't want to argue. Maybe they had a long day, they're in a bad mood, or they're just bad at arguing. Being able to differentiate this and stonewalling is very important. Being observant and using whatever context you may have will help you differentiate between the two. Arguments are great because they allow you to hear both sides of a topic. It lets you weigh the pros and the cons and come to your own conclusions. It allows you to learn things that you may not have known about or considered before. Learning these new things can allow you to understand others better. It allows you to understand their point of view and why they feel the way they do. This understanding can allow you to persuade others or at least influence their opinion. But even if you fail to influence their opinion, at least you got to voice your opinion and hear where they're coming from. Participating in thoughtful arguments allows you to reflect on your own beliefs while also analyzing the perspective of others. This allows you to grow intellectually and emotionally. A good argument allows you to gain insight into others while also gaining a deeper understanding of yourself. In the end, it's not always about winning or changing someone's mind. It's about growing through the exchange of ideas and becoming more open-minded yourself. This exchange of ideas leads to social progress and positive change. When people are willing to engage in meaningful arguments, it creates opportunities to challenge harmful assumptions and correct mistakes and make better decisions as individuals and as a society. Open, thoughtful arguments help uncover flaws in ideas and policies, allowing room for improvement and innovation. Over time, this willingness to listen, reflect, and learn from each other drives social change and pushes communities forward. By allowing for dialogue instead of division, arguments can be a powerful tool for growth, not just for the people involved, but for the world around them too. History shows us that progress is rarely made in silence. Civil rights movements, educational reforms, and even democratic reforms were all shaped by people who spoke up and engaged in debate. These conversations created space for new perspectives to be heard and new solutions to emerge. The more people are willing to engage in respectful disagreement, the stronger and more informed our decisions become. In this way, good arguments don't just change minds, they change the world. Personally, I get into arguments with my friends pretty often. Usually it's some stupid banter of who's uglier or who's dumber, but the times I get into serious arguments with them, they almost always end up in us meeting in the middle. Whether it's a case of politics, an argument of morals, or one of us just being unhappy with the other. These arguments usually end in some change or meeting somewhere in the middle, and us still being homies at the end of the day. Matter of fact, it reinforces our relationships because we know that we can disagree with each other completely, but still be homies at the end of the day. And to be honest, that's kind of beautiful because not everybody can do that. We can disagree with each other and still have respect and love for each other. But when other people do it, sometimes they become mortal enemies for some reason and they just hate each other. Like, dude, come on. It's just politics, you know what I'm saying? Or it's whatever the hell. Just meet in the middle. And even if you can't meet in the middle, just agree to disagree and just move on with your life. Y'all can still be homies. Y'all probably have a bunch of things in common except for that one or two things or whatever the hell, you know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, arguing is great because it allows you to understand others along with understanding yourself. It allows you to meet with people in the middle and make social progress, whether it's friendships, creating new ideas, or building bridges with people with opposing views. Arguing is a great tool for social change, and depending how it's used, it can either create or destroy. And I think we need to be a little more conscious in how we argue with others so that we can create rather than destroy. A não ser a vontade de te encontrar, o motivo já nem sei.